Hi, I'm Dr. David Hill, and today we're going to talk about how to measure acid reflux disease. Now, what is acid reflux disease? This happens when gastric contents and acid from the stomach wash back up into the esophagus and cause discomfort. You may even get some of that up in the back of your throat. It may fall into the lungs and cause chronic wheezing, cough, or congestion. It may even cause scarring